everyone, Jim Branscombe here for the Cinematic Void vlog. I'm in Salem, Massachusetts, and I'm doing a little film location, kind of then and now, with a horror movie that was shot in Salem. No, it's not Hocus Pocus. No, it's not Lords of Salem. And no, it's not Hubie Halloween. I'm talking about Bert I. Gordon, aka Mr. Biggs, burned at the stake, aka The Coming. This was actually the first horror movie shot in Salem in 1981, and I'm gonna show you some of the locations that were used in the film, including this one right behind me, the Salem Witch Museum. Now, in Burned to the Stake, it kind of follows what actually happened in the Salem witch trials, except for the fact that no one was actually burned to the stake. It involves a little girl who is basically the reincarnation of Ann Putnam, who was one of the little girls that started the whole witch hysteria thing in Salem. And it involves a time traveler from the 1692 who comes back in time to seek revenge on the little girl that has been reincarnated as Ann Putnam. It's a kind of a goofy movie, but it's really cool because you get to see a lot of locations in Salem, including the Salem Witch Museum. Now, not only do you get to see the exteriors of the Salem Witch Museum, you actually get to see inside of it, or how it looked in the early 80s. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to film in here, so I figured I'd just shoot some exteriors of when it looks cool with all these red lights glowing from the inside. And I'll go ahead and drop in some clips of the exterior and interior so you can see how it was used in the movie. Although I was not allowed to film inside the Salem Witch Museum, I did buy this postcard that shows you the floor that you see in the center of the room, which you can also see in Bert I. Gordon's Burned at the Stake. Now, as you see in the card, it's lit very bright red, but at the time in the 80s, it was lit bright blue, as you'll see in these clips.
This is a magic circle used by witches when they perform their rituals to cast their spells and enchantments. They must remain inside the circle so that they are protected from all the evil spirits that may come to harm them.
And if you were curious if the Salem Witch Museum had any knowledge of their history with Bert I. Gordon's Burned at the Stake, aka The Coming, well, right near their restroom is a poster for the movie. So once our time-traveling Puritan shows back up, he basically busts out of the Witch Museum and crosses the street over here to the Salem Commons. You can also see the Salem Commons in Hocus Pocus, but right here at this entranceway is where he basically busts out of the Salem Witch Museum into the Commons.
You dumb bastard! What are you, some kind of a nut?
Kind of the main drag of Salem, Essex Street, and when the time-traveling Puritan leaves the Salem Witch Museum, he eventually ends up on here running around. I don't know exactly where he's at because one, the quality of the film isn't very good, and two, a lot of things have changed since the 80s, so you gotta think 40 years, Salem isn't gonna look the same. But somewhere on the street, he was running around like a maniac, confused by modern times. Now, after the time-traveling Puritan leaves the Salem Witch Museum and runs around Essex Street, he ends up here at a very famous House of Seven Gables, which you can go visit. This is near the waterfront in Salem, and if you get a chance, pretty cool tour. They also have Nathaniel Hawthorne, who wrote the House of Seven Gables, like childhood home here too. They actually picked up that house and moved it and put it on the property, so well worth the visit.
What's he dressed up for?
trip right here, you see Merlina, who is basically a stand-in for Lori Cabot, the official witch of Salem, walking by when the cops stop her. This is by a couple of historic buildings near the Salem waterfront. Now here's the reverse shot where the cop is parked and talking to her. Obviously a lot has changed, but it's pretty sure right around here is where they shot that scene.
Hello, Captain.
Right here is the Charter Street Cemetery, which is a historic landmark because it's one of the oldest cemeteries in America. They shot, I think, 2 scenes in here. First is there was a field trip scene where they're walking through where the Ann Putnam reincarnate gets chased by the time-traveling Puritan. That death scene was originally supposed to be filmed at the Salem Witch Museum, but once the people of the Witch Museum saw that, they said, no thanks. So they moved the murder scene over here. Right here is the house that the little Ann Putnam reincarnate lives in the movie. You get to see, kind of almost from this angle, when she's being chased by the time-traveling Puritan. She runs up to the door, goes in the house. You can recognize the kind of columns, the black metal fence, and you can also recognize the building behind it, because this building, even though the video quality of Burned at the Stake isn't that good that I'm working off of, there's this weird kind of sideways small window that you can see in the shot. So this took me forever to find this place, and I'm not saying it's the highlight of my trip, but it's up there, finally finding this house. So when watching Burned at the Stake, the only identifier to the house was this house number, which was number 39. And I had looked at as many streets in Salem as I knew, trying to find, just punching in 39 Essex, 39 Derby, whatever, just seeing what came up. Nothing came up. And then I was looking at photos of Salem in the 80s, and I saw a photo on the street that looked very familiar to this house. So I just kind of punched it into Google Maps, and lo and behold, found the house. As you can see, it still has the same glasswork on the sides and has the little columns around the door.
If 'tis what thou wish, follow me.
Thanks for watching. Until next time, see you in the void.